There are many things in life which are true, but far from sufficient. And that's the key error that the British scientific community, at least those who clustered around the Darwin as supreme theory and a supreme component of randomness. In other words, the randomness people, in a contradictory fashion, believe that there is a thrust, Darwinian thrust. They never sort of reconcile their two contradictory positions. One, that everything's random, and simultaneously, that Darwin, who was also British, is right. They never reconcile the two. Be that as it may, they're wrong in any event. Now, frankly, that whole group, the whole British group, has been eclipsed in the last few decades by the Americans, both on the East Coast and the West Coast, with MIT or Stanford, etc., NYU, etc., whose advanced work, whether it's Nagel or Tegmark or Seth Lloyd, trump randomness theory from different directions and are supportive to Summa theory. Summa theory, the first book came out in 1988, and the Seth Lloyd, Nagel, and Tegmark works came out in the 2000s. So my work really provides a metaphysical framework. Nagel's work from NYU provides a philosophical wedge into it. And Lloyd and Tegmark provide a scientific wedge into it. Now, Seth Lloyd from MIT is particularly interesting because Lloyd says, basically, that the entire universe is one big supercomputer. And what does potentialism theory say? Potentialism theory is saying the entire universe is optimizing and calculating and heading towards optimal extraordinariation. So my theory says what Lloyd is calling a supercomputer is doing. And of course, I do not deign to explain mechanics, exactly how it's done. And naturally, Seth Lloyd's book, Programming the Universe, was panned, dissed when it came out, obviously, and he says a solo operator. And it's not that my theory says the universe is a supercomputer, but it's saying a parallel thing, that the entire cosmic order is calculated, is integrated, is fully integrated, has an enormous, one big internal feedback loop, processing all data, and it's optimizing its next stages. Now, in my first book, I Got an Evil, I say basically, if you want to call this God, you can call it God. If you don't want to call it God, don't call it God. So you can look at this through a religious lens, you look at it through a spiritual lens, and say, well, it's not God, not a judgmental God, not a punishing God, not a legislating God, but it's still a spiritual dynamic driving the universe. That's a very clean deal. Looking at Q4P and look at the universe, a spiritual universe driven by potential as a spiritual force is a very clean philosophical deal. It works very, very, very elegantly. Or, in my third book, the transcendent dynamic, you can say, well, it's not spiritual. Don't get too spiritual on it. This is mechanical, mechanistic. The universe iterates to optimize its potential. Fine, so be it. It works through either of these three lenses. And it would require a lifetime plus to develop it through either of these three lenses. So again, my first book shows how it works through a religious lens. Not only that, it solves two classic problems in religious philosophy. Classic problems which have bedeviled religious philosophy for thousands of years. these two key problems are called, in philosophical shorthand, cosmogony and theodicy. The first question is, well, where did God come from? And the other question is, if there's a God who's all-powerful and all-evil, if there's a God who's all-powerful and all-knowing, why is there gross evil? Those two questions are used as battering rams by the atheist community to undermine religious philosophy. But the atheist community, in turn, is bedeviled by its own inexorable problem. Why is there anything at all? How did we get to Beethoven? How did we get to humans in general? How did we get to life? And they're totally unable not only to answer the question, but even to admit that they can't answer the question. So, Summa theory resolves the cosmogony question and the theodicy question we should get to later, or in a later segment of the tape, or another taping session. Or you can read the book, God and Evil. Online, or softcover, Amazon, or electronic. But it's available, all the books are available gratis online. This is a pro bono operation on the house. But neither group will really readily admit that they cannot handle these issues as is. Both put on a brave face that there's no problem. You don't understand things well enough, But there are problems. But again, the religious issues are finessed by Summa theory, to wit, that God is a God of potential. And the key problems of the non-religious approach to life, of where did everything come from? Why is there life? Why is there anything at all? Is finessed by taking a secular approach towards quest for potential. Meaning, a person who doesn't want no part of God and wants no part of spirituality say, okay, I want no part of God, no part of spirituality. An abstract dynamic, which we're going to call quest for potential, drives the universe. Where did it come from? Well, if it didn't exist, there'd be no universe. There'd be nothing. Since it exists, we have the universe. Now, you might ask, so why should that exist why should we say that exists? Why don't we just say the universe just popped into being? Because I asked myself the following question. What can we say is eternal with certainty? Can we say the God of Israel is eternal? Can we say it with certainty? Not at all. Why should we take that proposition? You can accept that as a belief, but you cannot accept that as a neo-scientific, neo-objective certainty. Surveying the world as best as I could for about 20 years, the best I came up with is that the concept of potential, one can assert, is eternal. And one can even say by definition it's eternal. Since we exist, there must have been the potential for us to exist. Therefore, one can posit that potential is eternal. But then you can ask, so okay, Mr. David Birnbaum, potential is eternal. How does that become quest for potential? So, that piece has to be dealt with. How do we get from the pure potential to quest for potential? And we're forced to say, if potential, pure potential, is able to morph into quest for potential, then we're rocking and rolling with the universe. And if it was not able to morph from pure potential to quest potential, there would be nothing at all. End of story. Exactly how it morphs from pure potential to quest potential, that's a whole other layer of discussion. But till you get to that layer, you first have to have a working hypothesis that quest potential is driving a universe. After you have that hypothesis, then you can work on that piece of the puzzle. How you get from pure potential to quest for potential. And that obviously can be a whole discussion. And it might be beyond our level of consciousness at this stage of the game. It might be within our realm of consciousness 1,000 years from now, when our minds and our consciousness are at an increasingly higher and higher level. I would conjecture that this whole theory is at the limit, pretty much limit of our consciousness now. Many people have great difficulty with it, and some people have no difficulty with it, the theory. Many brilliant people, it goes way past them. And sometimes I can discuss it with my 10-year-old son when he was 10, now he's 23. He got it better than me. Okay, so what we're proposing is that it's a far superior working hypothesis than to say everything's random, or to say that the classic God of the Bible created everything. Yes, the classic God of the Bible may have created everything. But what's driving the classic God of the Bible? If one says potential is driving it, then everything works. Potential morphs into the classic God of the Bible. That's cosmogony, the origin of God. And since the core of the God of the Bible is potential, the God of the Bible has to allow man to reach his potential. And there has to be elements of withdrawal. In the Hebrew terms of tzimtzum and hester, there has to be elements of tzimtzum and hester, of withdrawal, to give man freedom to reach his potential. And in that zone, in that gap, where there's withdrawal of the divine, and man has freedom, evil may transpire. If evil is not allowed to transpire, then mankind cannot reach its potential. An example, you have let's say a 22-year-old son graduating college. Either you set him on his own, or he's tucked away in the house forever, under your aegis, scrutiny, domination, and funding. Or you basically set him on his own. And our wisdom is you have to set him on his own. He has to find his way. He has to bruise his knees. He has to be near starvation, whatever it is. It's a necessary passage in order to enable the son to reach his potential. The other route simply will not work. If the child is kept indefinitely in the household, and you take two children, same age, same household. One is kept in the house, one is funded by the parents, one is not getting challenged. The other one, given a little shot on the arm, a little boost, minimal funding, set out in the world. 10 years later, you can't even recognize that the two are brothers. It's a very rough parallel. But it's necessary to give this rough parallel to deal with that theodicy question. In order for man to reach his potential, there cannot be complete oversight. Because even if one says that Q4P is not classic God, but Q4P, potential, is very, very smart. And Q4P probably could keep closer control of the universe to mitigate more problems. But it cannot, by definition. It must go for the goal. It must go for extraordinary action. And to go for the goal, it has to allow, whether Q4P is classic divine, or Q4P is secular, or even Q4P is spiritual, or Q4P is mechanistic. It cannot have total control to remove possibilities of pain and evil, because it can never get to its destination. Not because it wants to get to its destination. It has to get to its destination. It has to get to its destination. Q4P is destination-oriented. It's its lifeblood. The lifeblood of the cosmic order is the drive for potential. Every once in a while, when you get up in the morning, you say this, you take stock, and you say, given my assets, given who I am, given the money in the bank, given my earning potential, given my superstructure, what's my next best move on the chessboard? Do I stay in my current career? Do I try to switch careers? You are scanning for your potential. You are doing what the cosmic order is doing. It's all parallel. It's one-to-one parallel. We're all microcosms of the cosmos. In fact, we all are microcosmos. The cosmic order, the grand cosmic order, is doing exactly what we're doing on an individual level. And those who do this best tend to prevail the best. Not those who are, so to speak, the smartest, those who got the best grades in high school, those who got the best, who con their way into the best college acceptance. It's those who play out their potential optimally. They're the ones who prevail. And that's the cosmic mandate.